I think I could use another radish. Mighty fine radishes.
They just keep coming.
Yep. Too bad the asparagus is done. We get about 6 weeks of asparagus joy every year, and then...
It's all over.
Huh? Yeah.
The stuff you buy at the Red Owl
doesn't compare to the garden.
That's what I was going to say.
Looks like the apple trees are doing pretty good this year. They're getting fairly noticeable. I got a new spray. Got 2 insecticides in it and 1 fungicide. So, no, two fungicides. Doing a real nice job on the bugs.
Bob?
Yeah?
Freddie's coming home.
Here?
Yes.
To stay?
He needs a rest.
Huh. I wish you'd told me.
I am.
Well, how long does he plan on being...
I don't know.
I see.
I hope you do, Bob.
He can paint the house.
Maybe.
We'll have to see. I wish you would have talked to me about it.
Where did you go last night?
Huh?
You went out at 3.
Oh, yeah. I got a call from Willis Scrumpter.
Who?
Willis Scrumpter, you know him.
I don't.
3 miles north of town, then east down County Road 16, about 1.5 miles. He lives alone out there.
Nope.
He's got the big yellow happy face painted on his grain silo. He said his stomach was hurting him pretty bad, and could I come out to the farm? He said he couldn't move.
God.
So I was going down County Road 16, and I saw something ahead of me in the road.
What?
A great big snapping turtle just sitting there. Now, I treated a kid once who lost 2 toes to one of them. He was trying to kick it barefoot. He wasn't a real bright kid. 2 toes in 1 bite. Well, anyway, I'm sitting on that gravel road about to try to drive around the turtle. And I see a coyote come up out of the ditch. And then another, and another, and another. Till there were 6 of them standing in a line, staring at me, ignoring the turtle, about 10 feet from me.
They
started to come towards me. They started to circle the car. I honked my horn. Nothing. They keep circling. Finally, I cracked the window about an inch and I yell, "Hey! Hey!" And slowly, not scared or anything, they stroll over to the turtle and one of them grabs it. I guess he's a leader. Grabs the turtle by the tail and drags it. The other 5 follow and slowly off the road, through the ditch, and out into a field of sunflowers.
Why did that happen? The circling.
Animals do unusual things sometimes.
Yesterday, a purple finch.
What?
I was hanging out a blanket on the clothesline, and a purple finch landed almost on my hand, 2 inches away.
That's unusual.
Like it means something.
Yeah. Huh?
What's that?
Excuse me?
Oh, I thought you, never mind.
Well, I was saying, Willis Scrumter. So I pull into the farmyard and I see the kitchen lights on and the doors open. So I went in and there he is on the ground, t-shirt, boxer shorts, black socks, writhing in considerable discomfort. So I kept him on the floor and I asked him what he'd been eating lately. And he said the usual stuff, Polish sausage and boiled potatoes for supper, rhubarb sauce for dessert. So I began to examine his stomach, and I pressed on it, and this is a different kind of thing.
What?
As I pressed down on his stomach,
Yeah?
a Barbie doll head sort of popped out of his underpants and rolled across the linoleum floor.
What?
Then another one popped out.
Why did he, what was he?
At this point, I stopped the examination, and I asked him how those doll heads were.
What did he?
He told me he was bored. That's what he said. I was bored. I extracted 5 more doll heads from his rectum. He cut all their hair off, too. They were bald. Thank God I had brought some rubber gloves with me. But it was really kind of an odd thing to see.
Stop.
Well, I wasn't going to say anything.
Just not today. My hand is shaking. It's trembling.
Because of the story?
No. Oh.
Let me see. It's probably your antidepressant.
It can't be.
Happens fairly often. There's also a condition called essential tremors. It's not dangerous. It can go away.
What causes that?
We don't know. But I suppose we should try a new antidepressant.
No.
They got a new one out.
No.
Excuse me?
They don't work.
They've helped you for quite a while.
Well, they're not helping now.
Takes time for
Their
them.
time is up.
We need to think about this.
I've thought about it. The therapist is helping me, and I'm gonna I'm gonna trust her.
Yeah, I know. That's good.
She said that when things start to happen, thoughts and obsessions or ruminations, to not give it any power.
Yeah, that's probably good advice.
To just accept it as it's happening, as it is.
Yeah, well, acceptance is the key.
That counting thing has been happening again. When I'm drinking something, I count my swallows. It's so stupid, but it just happens. It bothers me, and it's anyway. It's between counting my swallows and the recurring thoughts. I guess
What thoughts are recurring?
What can be anything.
Is it something that happened recently, or is
necessarily?
it something from the past?
I'm trying to tell you. Just give me a chance, okay?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a piece of a song that goes through my head, like Born Free, that old song. I don't even like it, I don't think. But it keeps keeps cycling through. Born free. Oh, God, it's such a stupid song.
It's not terrible.
Well, okay, Bob.
I mean, born.
Okay. Sometimes it's someone that I'm mad at, like that pops into my head, like Sheila Olson.
Oh, boy.
Oh, my whole life in this town. She always thought she was better than me, always talks down to me and condescends.
Are you sure?
Don't you believe me, Bob?
Well, I just think
The
that
pills aren't working. I still have anxiety, still have mood swings. I'm still depressed.
I think that if
I think it's because of the prescriptions that I feel bad.
I don't think it's because of
We don't really know, do we?
drugs affect people differently, and sometimes we have to alter the dose. And
Well, I'm done altering. I'm done adjusting.
Rena, these are just thoughts passing through. I think the idea is don't worry about them when they come through. Just sort of let them.
I know, Bob. I get it.
So if you can just
Worrying is the problem. My mind just worries. It ruminates. It counts swallows. It brings up Sheila Olson.
it's just thoughts.
If I could control my thoughts, life would be a hell of a lot easier.
That's for sure.
I have plenty of things I'd like to think about.
Like what?
Huh?
If you could think anything.
Nothing.
What?
Absolutely nothing. Just a clean, empty mind.
Well, what was that thing Abraham Lincoln said?
Abraham Lincoln?
Most folks are about as happy as they make up their minds to be. That's it.
That's a bunch of crap.
Well, I believe
If I could make up my mind, I wouldn't have taken antidepressants all these years and other drugs, and I wouldn't have drank. My mind makes me up.
You're not alone. 20% of people our age are using them.
I feel alone.
No, you're not.
I'm sick of it. Lincoln. Why did you know that he was a white supremacist himself?
He was what?
It's documented, Bob. We're just taught to believe so many untruths.
Yeah, but
And what?
he was probably our greatest president.
Well, there you go. This country has been messed up from the start. We're all deluded.
I wouldn't want to live anywhere else.
Well, I would.
Where?
Oh, someplace 20%. Why is everyone so?
I don't know. It's higher for women.
Of course.
I'm glad you're back with a therapist. I just think
I gotta
that
do something. I can't go back to drinking.
no, that doesn't work.
It does work. If you don't care about living.
Well, we're gonna keep caring. But I do think you ought to continue the medication with your therapy.
Are you hearing me? Do you listen?
Rena, look, you got to understand.
It makes me feel dead.
I really think that
No,
there's a way that
I have never really trusted a therapist before, and
what was her name again? Maria something.
Maria de Salvo. She's new from Brazil.
South America.
Is there another Brazil?
Well, no, I mean, she's experienced, right?
Of course she is, Bob.
Well, I mean,
She's got a license and everything.
of course. Yeah, great. Yeah. I saw in the paper that there's a city council seat opening up. You know, you'd be good at that. Might be fun for you. Get back into politics a little bit. You should run.
I gotta do something.
You got a lot of talents,
I do.
a lot of options.
Really?
Yes.
I should be mayor.
There you go.
I'd do something with this town. I'd bring back the community theater players. They used to do such wonderful plays. The whole town would show up. And the concerts in the park, beautiful music. I'll bring that back too. And the song of the Lakota pageant every summer on the shore of Spirit Lake.
You'd be a great mayor.
People used to get together. They used to get together. There's so much tension now. So much. Where's it coming from?
The town has changed.
How's Gerald Herdsman doing since Clayton was eaten by the hogs?
He's hanging in there.
That thought has crossed my mind too many times.
Yeah, that was an unusual tragedy. But he just keeps going and going. Gerald, he's 102 now. Can you believe it? And he still seems excited about life.
How does he do it?
You know, he has a natural curiosity and he just keeps it moving forward.
What is that?
I don't know. He can't walk or see, but he's got just enough hearing left that he's taken to playing the accordion. He loves to squeeze that thing and make his little dog Herman howl. He says it brings him joy and it makes Herman happy. I talked to him this morning. I brought him his blood pressure medicine and a bag of Tootsie Roll Pops. God, he eats a lot of those. He had a big boil on the back of his neck I had to lance. They're caused by bacteria in the hair follicles. They're also called furuncles. So he had to fire Richard O'Haron.
Why?
Gerald bought a dozen sheep this spring and hired Richard to take care of them and to, feed the hogs and the chickens since Clayton was gone.
Richard was such a great-looking kid, so smart. The girls were crazy about him. Kathy dated him for a little while.
How's she doing? Has she called?
No. No one has. Except Freddie.
So Orvis Canton was out to visit Gerald and play a little music with him. Orvis Canton. And he noticed the barn door was open. So he went down to shut it, and there was Richard passed out on the ground, no clothes on. Orvis said,
What?
All the hair on Richard's body was gone, from his head to his everything. The sheep had basically grazed on him. I would like to say that's the first time I've seen that, but it's not.
All right.
Anyway, he ended up with one heck of a haircut.
Is this funny to you?
No, I'm just trying to cheer you up a little bit.
Oh, stop trying.
We can't take ourselves so seriously.
That's funny coming from you.
What are you?
You're a pretty serious man, Bob.
What are you trying to?
I'm sorry. Sometimes you irritate me, Bob. And I'm off the meds that weren't working, and so now
Wait a minute. You stopped taking them? Cold turkey? That's dangerous.
I just told you this.
I thought you meant you were thinking of it.
I thought of it for a long time.
It's not a good idea.
We're gonna have to just see, aren't we? Like you always say.
I don't know what to say.
Then don't say anything. You see people on the street, or in the Red Owl, or just driving around the square, around and around, and they nod or they give you the one finger wave over the steering wheel. But you just never really know what's going on. And then you hear a story like the one you just told, and it
about Richard or the doll heads?
both. Both.
The human psyche is yeah.
I've been thinking lately, I mean,
What?
Oh.
What is it?
Do you ever feel like there's something else inside your mind? Someone else? Behind it all, behind everything?
Could you be more specific?
I feel like there's another mind inside my mind that watches everything. I'll be downstairs alone doing the laundry, and I'll have a thought, then I answer it out loud. This other mind, and it's like a stranger inside, and I don't know. I don't know.
Well,
and thoughts, memories, old memories that are happening again, and pointless things sometimes too, like watching a worm crawl across the sidewalk in the rain when I'm 7. I'm there again.
we got to have our memories.
But why these? Insignificant. I mean, nothing happened with the worm.
To know who we are, we remember.
So we have to be reminded. I
Well,
worked at the psych ward in Janesville when I graduated from nursing school, my first job.
I know.
It was my first week. I was on the 3rd floor, and I met this woman in her 80s. She was in her room in a rocking chair with a doll, crying. She had nobody, no relatives, no friends, nothing. And I asked her about her life, and she told me she'd been in the war and had killed 11 men. And I thought she must have dementia or something, because how could she kill 11 men?
Well, like you say, she wasn't in her right mind.
No, Bob. She went to the bathroom and left the door open, and I saw that she was a man. She came back, and I asked her gently if she was a man or a woman. She said she didn't know, but she felt close to her mother when she dressed as a woman, and her mother was the only one who had ever loved her. I reached in and hugged her, and she punched me, knocked me to the floor, and jumped on me and started to choke me. And I rolled away and jumped up, and she came at me screaming, "I don't know you. Who are you? Who are you?" And I backed away, and she lunged at me, and I pushed her just a little bit just to keep her away, and she tripped over a footstool and fell and hit her head on the floor, and she didn't, she was dead.
It was an accident.
No one ever really knew or cared. They thought she just finally died.
You know, you didn't. You're not guilty of anything.
I feel guilty about everything.
Oh, come on, Rena.
I know. You don't like to hear that.
You don't have to.
You don't want to know how I feel.
That's not true.
Sure it is.
You just have
You're
these.
not great with feelings, Bob.
Well, you don't always share everything with me.
There's only so much you can do. You can't cure me.
Well, I know that.
Good.
I just wish you'd told me about Freddie coming home.
What?
Freddie.
I did the right thing.
He told me to go to hell. Do you remember that?
Yes, I remember that.
Good. I don't like you going off your meds.
Sorry you don't like it, Bob.
You seem a little off.
Well, maybe that's your perception.
Maybe it is.
Well, you're not always right.
I didn't say I was.
Don't you act like it.
Do I?
Yes. Where are you going?
I gotta make a house call.
Where?
What?
Are you... When will you be back?
I'll let you know.
Bob.
Yes. He can paint the house. And you can...
What? What?
I don't know.
Oh. Purple Finch.
Thank you, everyone. Bravo, folks. Bravo. To the audience, we're going to go into our talk back. You can either use the Q&A, which is on your screen. You could raise your hand if you would like to ask a question out loud. You can, if you're watching on YouTube, you can certainly type it into the chat, and I'll get to you in the chat. So all sorts of ways, whatever you would like. Okay, so now introducing our cast and our playwright and our director. First, we have Lily Knight and Steve Hoffendahl, who are Rena and Bob. So yay! And then we have our playwright, Joe Keys. Joe, there we go. All right, and our illustrious director, Peter Flood.
Hey guys, fantastic, wonderful work, Steve, Lily, very moving. Deeply.
Wonderful, wonderful job. I'm going to go right into the questions. So anybody who has their hands up, or if you chat something in, or if you Q&A it, I will read it out loud. And Shirley says, "Love that couple." Thank you, Shirley Snyderman. All right, I'm going to go to, let's go to Pam Beatty. So Pam, all you have to do is unmute yourself, and then you're on.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
So I'm hoping that the introduction, or I know Freddie was mentioned before, but bringing him back, I hope that means that there's going to be more episodes and maybe a third character.
Oh yeah.
we hope so too.
Yeah.
Yes, the show is moving forward to the next town.
We're on
the road.
We're definitely, yeah, there's more. Joe, you want to talk about your writing process?
Well, first of all, Lily and Steve, that was great, man. I was really, really appreciative of your talent as actors, because of, the audience doesn't see what the rest of us see in rehearsal and the process and all that. And you don't have a lot of time, and to see what you've done and what you're capable of doing always, honestly, always moves me deeply. So, and Peter as well, for your insight and your strength and your sense of calm in the storm. I don't know how you do it. And Todd for making this all happen.
Oh,
Yeah. So
My pleasure, believe me.
that was a great run. I call it a run through. That was the best that I've seen. Maybe you guys did it at home when no one was watching, but that was great. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, we just processed. I wrote one of these years ago, and then when the plague hit, I just needed something to work on to keep from going insane. So I started to try to write this little, theater meets the Zoom series, and fortunately hooked up with everybody here, and we've been able to keep it going. I don't know where it's going, which is good. That's exciting. I hope we're going to have a meeting tomorrow to talk about where it could go. Because I really don't. I mean, I have some ideas, but I don't have a draft, even a rough draft of the next one. I hope there's more of them, because it really is fun to work on this with everybody. So, I mean, a lot of it comes from my experience in a small town and my people around me, but its names have been changed to protect whoever.
Right.
It's just a great process to try to figure out who you are and what happened and what's going to happen and what's going on. And I just enjoy the whole, and I landed in the lap of a great creative team. So I'm very grateful for that.
Likewise. I have to tell you guys, I have not been around. So everybody knows I haven't been around much this week. So I got to watch this with fresh eyes, which was fantastic. And it was really, really wonderful. I mean, obviously I've read it many times, but this was really just wonderful. And I have a question for you, and then we're going to go to Stu Berg. So there's, I always look at, there's pieces that sometimes talk to me more than others. And there was a piece, I don't remember the line exactly, but it sort of questioned fate, or questioning, when you talk about the two voices, that you have a voice in your head. So I'm very curious if that's something that you worked on. It's almost like you're talking about, is there a puppet master? Is there somebody else who's controlling me? Is somebody else controlling everything? And then also goes into the relationship with Bob. As Bob, to me as not as anything but the audience. So my question is that something that you worked on, that you investigated, that you dealt with? Is that a theme?
Yes.
Yes.
If you want to speak to that, Joe, or do you want me to?
Well, I mean, it's one of the themes, and it's one that I hope grows, because it seems to be one of the more important ones. But I feel like we've just kind of tapped into it. And
there's actually a phenomenon, because that was organic to Joe's writing about the self within the self that watches. But that's a concept that exists. I mean, it's called the body watcher. There's a body, basically, but you see it in other disciplines. I mean, basically, you look at your own experience, and especially when things happen to you in a way of stress, there's an observant self. Even if you were hit by a car, you'd see the car hit you. You'd see yourself going down on the floor, or on the street, or anything else, unless you were knocked unconscious. There's still that observer who, just like this whole thing is being recorded, it just records. It is purely observant, and I actually think that's a positive thing for Rena. I mean, I think it's, we discussed this, and it doesn't, we're not categorizing, we're not imposing a value on it. And we've been trying to be careful to protect the ambiguity of the characters and their situations as they go along. They clearly love each other, but there are differences and there are ambiguities in life. Some of them are not easily resolved, and maybe they shouldn't be resolved until they kind of resolve themselves. But that's the beauty of Joe's writing, and the setting of the relationship in a small town in rural Minnesota, where there's not a lot of distraction. I mean, life is surrounded by distractions anyway, but especially through Rena, Rena and Bob have big differences between how they view that town. Because Bob takes care of it, he takes care of people, so it's not a negative. For Rena, it's a negative,
Right.
But that's where that conflict, which has nothing to do with emotion, but that conflict, existential conflict, is really driving the piece.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Joe, is that? Go ahead. Go.
No, I just wanted to say that, I've read about people that have near-death experiences or they actually die, and that watcher extends past, that they describe seeing themselves leaving their body. It's a visual that so that watcher is still connected to their mind in some way, even though they're dead. I think that's interesting.
Yeah.
Joe, do you recognize that becomes part of your story, or is that an afterthought?
I'm sorry, what?
Do you recognize that this becomes part of your story, or is that something afterwards when you read your draft, you go, hey, look what I found?
Yeah, I guess what I think is important rises up and speaks to me, and that thing did. That the watcher, as it's now been called, has risen up. It wasn't intentional. It wasn't like I'm going to go find the watcher or try to understand the watcher or anything. It just came up, and now I want to hope to explore it, and hope it leads us to more interesting and exciting places.
Great. Stu Berg, you're up.
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yes, now we can hear you. It's great to hear you.
I don't know what happened last week, but first of all, Steve and Lily, what a wonderful job. And I've seen all of them, and you get more and more surprising in terms of the way that you handle it. And of course, Joe, the material is terrific. And Peter, as usual, it's beautifully directed.
Thank you.
So I'm very, very pleased that I was able to catch all of them. I watch this and I begin to think to myself, there's each one of these stories in itself is so rich, and what way where could you go with this? And I know that we're all interested in stage, but I was sitting here and all of a sudden I said, this is a limited miniseries. I mean, I don't think there's even, in my mind, a question about it. You've all probably watched, was it Mayor of Easttown, for instance? Yeah, and I think it's important that you from an acting point of view and a directing point of view, that you look at it in that basis, because I would love to see this. On the stage, I don't know exactly where I could go with it, and even opening it up on the stage. But I really think that's something you should think about. But I find the work to be terrific. The other thing that occurred to me as I'm watching all of these is that you have got a lot of mobility, Joe. You can move certain topics around if you choose to. In other words, one of Steve's stories to Lily, or one of Lily's comments to Steve, which was in any one of the given episodes, if you looked at all of the episodes together, you might say, if I shift the sheep story to here and the boy and the other story to there, would that make that more or less effective? And but anyway, I don't want to take too much more time, but I really thoroughly enjoyed it, guys.
Thanks, Stu. Thank you.
Thank you, Stu.
Thanks, Stu.
Nice to hear from you.
And Stu, if you would like to call Netflix on our behalf, we would not.
I'm still trying to sell my memoirs. It's 1.5 pages and no one wants to publish it.
Very funny. Let me just read. Claudia Stedlin says, love the pre-show music. Such great acting. That newspaper was like the Iron Curtain. Watching Rena's slow, deeply touching reveal about going off her meds was stunning. Just wonderful writing and acting and direction. Bravo. Thank you all. It comes from Claudia. So, that's fantastic. And let's see, Catherine. Catherine Knight. I have a feeling.
Hi, Kitty. Unmute. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Beautiful, beautiful presentation tonight. I was totally excited and on the edge of my chair the whole time.
Great.
This is Lily's twin.
One of the things that I wanted to ask, I guess, all of you about is the way that I see the relationship developing and the way each of them are truthful with each other. And tonight, in this one, I saw a greater sense of Rena's sense of ownership of her own experience.
Right.
Exactly.
And in whatever world she's in, which seems actually not quite as pathological as it's made out to be. It seems actually pretty understandable from my point of view. And Bob's kind of almost disassociation from the world that he's seeing, which is horrific, and his way of bringing it home as a funny story, as its own kind of pathology. So I feel like there's a shift in the narrative that I find really fascinating. I thought tonight it was depicted in an incredibly I don't know, heartfelt way. Lily, I just don't know where you went to, but it was unbelievable. It was so great. And I mean, I'm a little bit, she's my sister, so I can feel a little bit. But I'm just really curious about that aspect of it, of the shift. It's almost like there's a shift of ballast in the story and the truthfulness. Who can we really believe in? And I really think Rena is becoming more the center of truthfulness in some ways. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I think you're right on the money, Catherine. I mean, this is the essence of the episode, is the kind of choice that Rena's making to be responsible for her own well-being, and it is the step, the episodic step in the relationship, the next chapter, episodic chapter of the relationship, and it's hard for Bob to let go. I mean, this has been discussion. Bob has things he believes in and puts full trust into, and they're different. And that's the negotiation, where we've treated this as a kind of negotiation between two people who love each other and committed to one another, but there are really profound differences on specific subjects. Freddie, medications, therapy, and consciousness, really, full consciousness that Rena, I think, is her character is beginning to pursue. Lily, you want to speak to her?
Well, and I actually just wanted to say that I think Joe Keyes is a great feminist playwright. Sorry to use that word,
no.
But I feel like you are, without talking about it in a polemical way, you're creating a dialectic between the way a female processes life and the way a male processes life naturally, and the gap that may always exist. And as Rena stops being defined by Bob or being a mom or what other people think about her or whatever, there's a freedom that opens up that actually sort of increases the gap, and that's a very fertile, interesting place to be. I think there's a lot of possibilities in there.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed, and that creates tension and a struggle between the two of them, which will hopefully be helpful to us if as one or both of them, or together or separately, evolves to what is the question, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, we discussed as we went along, was the material a play, was the material episodic? And we've kind of committed to the episodic development, which means there's a story arc that is extended. It reveals itself in incremental episodic increments like that. So it's not condensed as it would be in a play. And if there's a freedom and a liberation in that to pursue the story in an interesting way, in a way that's more appropriate to Joe and his writing, his process, than if we were to try to compress it into a play.
Great. Thank you, Catherine. We're going to go to Gina Acosta.
Hello, you guys. Can you hear me?
Hi, Gina.
Gina. Hello, as I affectionately call you, the fearsome fivesome. So once again, just really lovely, just so lovely. And just to Steve and Lily, it's been fascinating to Lily hear your twin sister talk and use that beautiful word pathology. It's a very provocative word.
Are they lucky?
You are. And again, what Joe has created with in the mind of this woman, and the fact that you guys are discussing Rena, sort of, it's almost like she's calving away from the iceberg in her own way. It kind of like, whoa, where is she going? Is and it's there's something kind of eerie about it, the tension of you guys in this kitchen. And it does, when you mention the watcher, it does feel like there's like a third presence around. And Lily's face, she's so expressive, like almost like she senses someone coming in the back door, kind of sneaky. There's that sense where it kind of crackles with this tension. And the idea that Bob has this amazing array of external situations that happen to him, which can be quite horrific, quite shocking, quite gruesome. But I feel like Rena, she's got those Barbie doll heads rolling around in her mind all day long. Hers are internal. So she's got, so I think there's a lot of really interesting, just talking, piggybacking on what some of the comments were geared toward, that I see Bob, his are all external, hers seem to be much more internal. And it's really fascinating. And the idea that Bob is a doctor, and I don't, unless I missed it somewhere, I don't know what Rena's education may be or what she wanted, but the idea that her mind is tackling so many issues, but yet he's a degreed doctor. It's a very interesting kind of thing that's developing, and it's very interesting. And so Joe and Peter, thank you for bringing it back. And Steve and Lily, just lovely. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Gina.
Between Joe and Gina, we have the Smartphone Theater has our series. We absolutely
That's right.
Yes, there's always something.
Gina writes, she writes great stuff.
We're going to do a Joe Keys festival, and we're going to do a Gina Acosta festival.
Yes, I want to see the Gina Acosta, the next Gina Acosta play. She's a great writer.
Dean Butler, if he's out there listening, we'll get him in the mix as well. So, all right. Cool. Thanks, Gina.
Thank you guys so much.
See you soon. Talk to you soon. So, Michael Cavanaugh.
Good evening. And may I begin by saying what an incredible joy it is to watch and listen to beautiful writing, beautiful acting, and beautiful directing. I sit here with a big grin on my face the whole time. It's such a joy. One of the things, Joe, that you make it happen for me is the way you use such offbeat, unexpected subject matter. Early on with a snapping turtle who bit 2 toes off of the kid. And on as the 6 coyotes and the Barbie dolls and you counting your swallows. I mean, that's just hysterical. And the sheep and those, what's wonderful about that is you all are able to take the fluidity of the writing and make it fluid for us as an audience. There's no surprise or when these subjects come up, it's just, it makes perfect sense. It makes, you were sitting there swallowing, counting your swallows. I mean, oh yeah, sure. Everybody does that. The Barbie dolls, it's an odd, weird thing, but it felt completely normal. That's one of the things about your writing, Joe. You come up with these subjects that are completely unexpected. In fact, Gina's like that too. Gina's wonderful that way too. And anyway, it gives me joy sitting here watching and listening, and to see the four of you and five with you, Todd, producing, just pull this off every time. It's just a treat.
Oh, thank
So,
you.
thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Michael.
Thank
That's
you.
what it's all about. Let me read thank you, Michael. I'm going to read a couple, and then we're getting towards the end of our hour. So I'll let you guys go off and make dinner. But we have, I want to say, just Shirley Snyderman says, each scene reveals another layer of themselves and their relationship, new secrets each time. Can't wait until next time. And then Rebecca Paradis says, that was a roller coaster ride. I was agog, aghast, and totally on board. To know who we are, we remember. Thanks for bringing Joe's words to us in this way. Astounding, which is fantastic.
Thanks.
And then Michael Cook says, thank you so much. Wonderful work all around the town. Love from Elna and Michael Cook.
Thanks.
So, yes, so that's great. And hello, Rick Sendak. Thank you for leaving him a note as well. Always funny, Rick, always funny. Michael, did you just put up your hand again? I don't know. If so, I'm going to did you put up your hand one last time?
Yes.
Okay.
I wanted to say to Joe, you could think about putting a mailman in there, and I play a hell of a mailman.
Well, you're going to be Gerald Herdman, Michael. Joe, we're going to age you up to 102 and bring you in and talk you about a very exotic subject of some kind that Joe will come up with.
I'm waiting.
Working on the accordion, Michael.
Well, you sacrifice his legs for the part too.
Thanks again, everybody.
Thanks, Michael.
Thank you.
All right, if anyone has any final thoughts or comments, please share them now. Otherwise, I'm going to say, first of all, thank you guys for putting in. These guys work so hard. Just want everybody to know they work so hard, and it's such a pleasure. I had a busy week, was not in that much, but it's so wonderful just to see the work that everybody does and to be a fly on the wall. It's a blessing. I have a very good fortune to just sit there and say nothing and watch people work, both as actors, writers, and directors. It's a very rare moment where another director can watch another director work. It's brilliant. It's really, really brilliant. So thank you guys.
Thank you, Todd. Thanks for everything. The support is extraordinary for anybody who's out there and thinking about bringing good material to smartphone theater. Todd makes it easy.
Oh, thanks.
It's wonderful.
Yep,
Wonderful.
that's for sure.
Gina, you had your hand up one more time. Are you here?
I'm here. 2 words.
2 words.
Blood oranges.
Blood oranges.
Blood oranges.
Blood oranges. Yes. All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Gina.
All right. So a couple other things, a couple little housekeeping things. I mentioned before, we're all over social media, from Instagram to Facebook to YouTube. Become our friend. Look for us and become our friend so we can stay in touch. We also have a subscribe now on the website, so go and do that. We have a suggested donation. It's not a mandatory donation. We've suggested, so if you feel free, do that. Gosh, that's about it. Our next show is going to be in 2 weeks or more. It's June 18th. It's our 4th poetry night. I'm so thrilled that our poetry night is such a big, huge hit. So we have 10 poets. Most who you'll recognize. We might have a couple of new faces this time around who are going to speak around the topic of summer and summer passions. So that kind of thing. And then keep checking the website for what's up in July. So
Hey, Todd,
yes.
when is this going to be posted on YouTube? Can you tell people?
Oh, I would love to share. So basically what I do is I cut off the beginning and do a few things, and it will go up onto YouTube and our website by Monday. So by Monday. So yes, you'll have that pretty quickly.
Okay, so for people who missed it. Then.
Yes, for people who missed it, then you can go and share it and all that kind of stuff.
Thank
All
you.
right. Anybody else? Anybody else want to share? We're good to go. All right, you guys have a link for our post conversation. To our audience, thank you again for joining us. We look forward to seeing you next time.
Thanks, everybody.
And it's been such a pleasure. Pleasure. I can't speak to that.
A prayer and a pleasure.
All right, everybody. See you soon.
Hey, man,
Thanks,
thank you,
guys.
Todd. Thanks.
All right. Bye.